This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories. And welcome to my recap and review of The Bad Batch Season 2, episodes 15 and 16. These are the final two episodes for this season. And there will be spoilers. Sorry I couldn't get this out earlier. Honestly, I've been trying my best to just get the screenshots and stuff, but I just keep getting interrupted, and there's over 60 screenshots for this video, so it took a little bit of time. I also got the ones for The Mandalorian just so I could get it all done in one recording session with one break to upload this video. So the Mandalorian one should be up in about half an hour. So let's go straight into it. The Bad Batch continue to make a plan to save Crosshair if he's truly in danger. For this, they're going to go to the world of Iriadu to try and infiltrate Tarkin's compound to put a tracking device onto Dr. Hemlock's ship to track him back to his base. After going through some other parts of the plan, they go out to say goodbye to some of the people in Pebu and begin to talk to Fee. First, Omega says goodbye, and then Tech just kind of coldly ignores her, although she does have some interest in him. On Iriadu, the meeting between the Imperials begin. As the Bad Batch land on the planet, they begin to move through the forests of the planet to get to Tarkin's main facility. Quickly, they see that the only way is to get across on a rail car and need to deactivate a sensor. Tech uses a grapple gun to get across and hacks in to turn off the sensor for a short period of time. They go and grapple onto the car and move across and begin to infiltrate the facility. The Imperial Summit begins, and they all begin to discuss different things about the Empire and go quickly into Dr. Hemlock's program where he wants to expand cloning and using the current clone troopers as resources. They then begin to discuss what will happen if people figure out what was going on, and Dr. Hemlock assures that he has a very secure facility that leaks won't be coming out of, and the Senate won't hear a thing about this. And he continues to explain just how things are going to be working and that the clones are Imperial property. And Tarkin quickly reassures them that if news ever did leak out, a clone uprising will be put down very quickly. The Bad Batch begin to scope out the hangar and need to head up to one of the control rooms to be able to go through the manifest to figure out which one is Hemlock's ship. So they leave Wrecker and Omega behind to plant the homing device once they figure it out, as the rest go up to begin to investigate into the facility. Tech and Echo begin to hack into the facility's systems and quickly learn that a lot of security cameras are out in a sector of the base. Curious about this and not really knowing what could be going on, Tech and Hunter go in as Echo continues to go into the system to monitor their progress. Omega is told which ship it is, and she's only one small enough to be able to move around the facility and not be caught, hiding behind a box of crates being moved. She's able to easily move over to the ship, but once she does get there and plants the device, things get far more complicated as patrols start to sweep towards her and she's boxed in. Echo creates a distraction using a crane to grab a V-wing and crashes it around. This caused the troopers to be distracted temporarily, but in the command station, they begin to be suspicious with the problems with the sensors and then with the crane, and now that some of the security cameras are out, so they send troops to go investigate into the area where the cameras are out. And in this area, Hunter and Tech quickly discover that explosives have been planted everywhere, and they are trying to figure out if they could disarm it, but are quickly caught by two troopers who they pull weapons on, but they quickly reveal themselves to actually be Saw Gerrera and a group of rebels working with him who are planning to blow up this facility. Although the clones beg them to let them be able to track their target, they see their mission as more important, trying to take out some of the Empire's top minds, and they refuse to do it and just tell them to get out of the facility as a blaster fire erupts. The Bad Batch and Saw Gerrera's group both go to retreat out of the facility. The security inside of the meeting room is increased as troops come in to guard the Imperials. Tarkin tells them not to worry about anything and they'll be perfectly safe inside this room. The Bad Batch manage to reunite and go to escape the facility, making it to one of the rail cars and activate it. Heading down, some Imperial troopers have made it on and they begin to battle them, but Saw Gerrera and his team manage to take a ship for themselves. Escaping, they detonate the explosives, destroying the facility, although keeping the Imperials alive since they weren't able to plant explosives in that part of it. And this disables the tram and keeps the Bad Batch stuck and forced to be in the middle of the Imperial base and freedom. Tech climbs up to the top of the track to try and reactivate the power, and as he does so, they have to fight off the Imperials shooting at them. Back in the facility, Tarkin orders for a viewing strike to commence on the cars, and although the Imperials are questioning his orders because they could be harming their own troops, Tarkin tells them to do it now, and as they begin to open fire, Tech does manage to reconnect the power, but is knocked loose from the train car and it begins to fall. He does manage to fall a little bit, but fires a grapple line up to save himself. But he notices that there is no way for him to get up and tells the Bad Batch to continue on and to go with Plan 99 as he fires upon the cable that's holding the car together, and this knocks it loose as he falls to his death. The car has no brakes and launches forward, crashing through the tunnel and knocking all the members of the Bad Batch out, greatly injuring many of them as Omega blinks in and out of consciousness. She eventually wakes up on Ord Mantell, where Hunter tries to reassure her and comfort her, but she quickly remembers what happened and is greatly devastated by what happened to Tech. And although Hunter and Wrecker are there to comfort her, she is still devastated. And once Wrecker leaves, Hunter begins to discuss with her the plans for the future and that they think that they should permanently retire from being soldiers and move to Pabu to live in peace. And Omega thinks that would be greatly helpful, still traumatized by everything that happened with Tech. And in the bar, Sid gives Wrecker a drink to try and cheer him up after the death of Tech, but Wrecker says it's not going to really help. Echo, who has sustained the least amount of injuries, has stayed with the ship, but is quickly horrified as he sees a Venator Star Destroyer come out of space and launching multiple fighters and gunships to come down to the streets of Ord Mantell. He rushes to go and save his brothers. Back in the bar, Sid begins to apologize to Wrecker, saying that they caused too many problems and made too much noise, and she had no choice to do this. Wrecker begins to ask what she's done as he is beginning to be hit by stun bolts by Imperial commandos who burst into the room. Hearing blaster fire going on, Hunter tells Omega to escape through the mine tunnels, and they will meet her at the ship, but Omega doesn't believe him and knows that Hunter is injured and has no way out, and talks to AZ, telling him that they have to go and rescue the members of the Bad Batch. Hunter goes in and tries to rescue Wrecker, but there are too many Imperial commandos there, and there's nothing much for him to do. Hemlock makes sure to pay off a very disappointed and disgraced Sid off as Hunter watches her go and tells him that he doesn't need to lose another brother like he lost Tech, and shows him Tech's goggles, which were all that managed to be recovered from his body. Devastated, Hunter, not wanting to lose another brother, lets himself be arrested and taken out, and Omega sends AZ off to go find Echo as she tries to force Hemlock to let him go, causing a distraction. Hemlock begs for Omega to come with him and he'll let everyone else go, saying that this isn't really all he needed. He needed her to bring to Nalisay, and while she begins to question it, she does notice that the clone commando Scorch has snuck up behind her and fires a stun bolt at her, knocking her out. Echo manages to steal an Imperial Walker and uses it to fire on the troopers escorting Hunter and Wrecker and rescues them. They go and try to save Omega, fighting through the troopers, but are too late as the ship takes off and heads for Wayland. As Hunter and the rest of the Bad Batch are forced to escape into the Marauder, knowing there's nothing they could do to save her for now, they take off and escape from Ord Mantell. As Hunter is aboard the ship, he is devastated by what has happened in this last day, and he swears that he will get Omega back and won't stop trying until he's able to rescue her. On Mount Tantus, Omega is brought to Nalisay and the other Imperials in charge of the facility and is quickly taken inside. As Dr. Hemlock begins to discuss with Nalisay how she will be working for them and cooperating, doing the Imperial cloning science, or Omega will be punished in her place, and defeated Nalisay agrees. Inside the facility, Omega watches over Crosshair and tries to see what is wrong with him, but the Imperial scientist there tells her that she did warn Crosshair not to resist, and he didn't listen to her. And then she begins to question Omega if she knows her, and Omega is confused, saying no, as she reveals that she is Omega's sister. And honestly, that was an amazing finale. I really can't believe how dark that final episode was, and I think easily makes it as the best episode of the series. I could not believe just how many dark things happened in that, and just how mature it was, and how tragic it was with the main Bad Batch team from the back half of the season literally being cut in half, with Tech being killed and Omega being taken. This episode was honestly just really interesting, and I so hope we get a season 3 because I just can't believe how crazy everything was in this. Really, they crossed just so many lines I didn't think they would. With the main one being killing off one of the good members of the Bad Batch, and by good I mean like the good guys on it. And I think a lot of people, including me, were assuming that if they killed anyone off, it would have been Crosshair in this episode. And we all thought they would be trying to break into Mount Tantus and trying to rescue him, but there clearly just wasn't the time for that when you still have to think about it initially, and especially when you start watching the episodes and realize that there'll only be one episode to do it, and this one is only like, I think it was like 27, 28 minutes long. And there's no way they could break into a facility that's secure. Although I do think it will happen next season, and a lot of people might be disappointed by that, thinking that there's no way that could appear in a potential adaptation of the Thrawn trilogy, which seems to be happening soon. It actually is still possible since the Mount Tantus facility is abandoned in the Thrawn trilogy, at least in the initial books, and is actually taken by Thrawn, where the mad clone of Jor Sabayoth, Joruus Sabayoth, has taken over, and I think this will still really work if they do this. And there they could have had maybe a mad clone escape at the end, and I feel like season 3 is probably going to be the final season of this show. Either way, it could end on more of a positive note and have them be able to cause at least a small clone rebellion and be able to have a sort of happy ending, saving both Omega and maybe Crosshair. Or it could have a really dark ending where they all die horrible deaths at the end, but that one's unlikely. But after this episode isn't impossible. But honestly, I'm really interested to see what they do. This episode was so interesting, and it was also cool to see a few things like director Krennic appear. I think he got like a small little line. I'm not sure if it was footage from Rogue One, if it was the same actor or anything. But it was cool to see him here, and the episode really was just so crazy, and I really just want to see what happens next because it was so interesting. And talk about a kind of a crazy criticism I did see earlier because I had work and a bunch of other stuff that I had to do before I was able to record this and get the footage and everything. So just to discuss that, it was just some people were saying that it didn't make sense for them, the Bad Batch, to not go and basically escape from the sacrifice that the opportunity given them by tech sacrifice and then not try to save Crosshair. But I think it actually makes a lot of sense because when you think of it, they went through some really bad stuff in this episode, and I don't think anyone really would want to be taking a child into this situation because things got pretty bad here, and it was pretty depressing for them to go through, especially for Omega, who has clearly been traumatized by this. She clearly cared a lot for Tech and was devastated to see him die. And with everyone being greatly injured, I think they just realized there was no way for them to be able to do this without getting Omega killed and just wanted to retire. And Omega agreed, but it was all destroyed and had this really nice ending ripped away from them. Interesting to see that Sid did look a little guilty for betraying them, but I think she will justify it to herself and may die next season trying to redeem herself from that. But I'm not too sure. It could go either way with her. And honestly, I really did enjoy this. I think it did make sense for them to go to her since they had AZ and he is a clone medical droid. So that would be the best one to treat them. And it was basically like their best, worst option. And it seems that also Echo was the least injured of them and probably made the decision since everyone else was greatly injured, especially Wrecker, who seems that he may have a pretty severe neck injury. So I'm interested to see also if the next season will pick up right after this and have the Bad Batch severely injured, or if it'll pick up after some time with them desperately trying to find any lead on Omega. And I think this is also something that can be resolved in one episode, like it was kind of a Grogu leaving in The Mandalorian and then into Book of Boba Fett. I mean, that was technically 2 episodes, but like you get the idea of what I mean, and I think that this would work really well if they did manage to change things around a little bit and really had episodes that one focused on the Mount Tantus stuff, focusing on Omega and Crosshair, and then on the other side they had stories of the clones trying to free clones from the Empire and trying to find where their allies have been taken, and maybe even build up clone forces to lead a massive assault on Mount Tantus, which could be a really epic season and series finale. But I do want to know what you think. Do you think that there's more seasons left? I feel like there's really one more left, but it could be more. I really want to, but I definitely at least want one more season, and after that, I think we could at least be satisfied with the story and see it wrapped up in a meaningful way. But I do want to know what you think. Please let me know in the comments, and I'll see you on the next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.